Hey, it's Victoria from Coastal Themes. In this video, I'm going to explain absolute positioning and relative positioning and how you can use these on your Framer site. We're going to start by adding a new section to our Framer site by going to plus, section, and adding a testimonial section. I'm going to drag it to the bottom of my layers. You can see here that I have all my sections, header, Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and finally at the very bottom, underneath this stack, we have our testimonial stack. What I'm actually going to do is delete all the content in here. So I'm just going to do this quite manually, delete every single content block. So it's important to know that the difference between layout and position is that layout determines how the content within is laid out. So that's where we talk about stacks and grids. That determines the direction, the gaps, the padding, alignment, things like that. But the position is where this block is positioned and how it is being positioned on the page it's on, or if it's an element within a block, how these elements are being positioned within the block it's in. So we'll start with this, the testimonials block. This holds all our little cards. This block is positioned relatively to the entire page. So if I change this to absolute, absolute positioning allows us to move elements freely within its parent element. So the parent element here is our entire web page, and we can drag this wherever we want. The order of the layers in the left-hand panel here do not impact the order visually to where this block appears. If I change it back to relative, then it adheres to the order of the layers on the left-hand side and the way I drag it around. It conforms, whereas absolute is its non-conforming sister. When we click on the stack within our testimonials block, we can see that these elements are positioned relatively to the testimonials block. So if I make this absolute, I can drag this block anywhere I want. You can see that absolute positioning may give us a bit of issues, especially when we're moving into responsive design. You'd have to specifically apply its positioning using these numbers here or by simply dragging. We will get into how to use absolute positioning to your benefit in a later tutorial. So let's put this back to relative. When it's relatively positioned, it sits conforming to our set sizing and set layout of the block. And then let's go even deeper. We have 3 cards sitting inside this stack. These cards are sitting relatively to the stack itself. If I change these to absolute, you can see here that this block, which I'll now apply a color to, is now sitting above this block behind, which I'll apply another color to, and this block. This block conforms to no rules, whereas these blocks are still conforming to our relative positioning. We can control this block's positioning by dragging it around. We can also control whether it sits on top or underneath the other content. If we change the other blocks to be absolute, they will also break free of all the stack's rules. And so here you can see lots of issues are arising responsively. There are places where using absolute positioning is really beneficial to breaking out of the grid and using it for design purposes. And we'll show you this in a later tutorial. If you have any questions on relative and absolute positioning, feel free to leave a comment below, or if there's anything you'd like to learn on Framer, do let us know. See you soon.